Brian, thank you for the time. You're live on the Fan. We appreciate a few minutes. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. First of all, congrats. When did this become real for you? When did it be kind of set in that, hey, this is a possibility? I'm going to be an NBA head coach.
I think I found out the middle of last week when Will Dawkins and Michael Wingo reached out and offered me the job. So I guess a little under a week now.
Brian, when you sat down with them at the end of the season after having had the interim title and that tag on you the remainder of the year, what was the case that you made and what was your pitch to try to get this opportunity and really make it your own moving forward?
It goes back to when I took over. My sole focus was to help our players play better and to show some growth the last part of the year. So we were just solely focused on the process of doing that and trying to put our players in the best position to be successful and to build habits that we thought were going to be sustainable. It's funny. That's what was my focus, and it was my focus to the end of the year, and it still is my focus. So, and you get very lucky and you end up getting the job. And I got tremendous gratitude and humbled for getting this opportunity. But the focus was on improvement. And that's what I'm still thinking about today.
I'm sure as your agent, your team, whoever that is around you, kind of sit down and try to sell you and make the best case as they're looking at other options, you're diving into what went well. And some of the things statistically that we saw, that the defensive efficiency improved. You guys were the number one team defending the three-point shot after you took over on January 25th for the rest of the season. So I'm sure those are high on the list. What else was there that you said, hey, here's the proof in the pudding, we got this done, whether it was somebody's growth or statistical?
For me, it was the statistical stuff was important, some of the growth of our individual players, but where I could see the growth was in our everyday approach and our everyday habit building. Our guys really bought into that and really focused on being in the present and controlling what we can control. And what we could control every day was focusing on how we're going to get better individually and collectively. And I think that led to some of the stats improving and some of the guys playing better as the season went along. And the guys who, even when they, some maybe our guys who were in the go-go, who got opportunities with us late in the year, those guys played well. So I think all those things were really important, but it was the day-to-day habits that I was really the most pleased with.
Wizards coach Brian Keefe with us here on Grant and Danny. And Coach, you mentioned that player development being just so essential and at the core of the mission at this point. What's the balance there for you as you head into this upcoming season with with a nice young core between making sure these guys are continuing to get better and winning games? You're obviously competitive and you want to win as many games as possible. You wouldn't get to the NBA without that. But to me, the essential mission is bigger than just maybe, squeezing out one more November win. It's about getting these guys to their highest ceiling to form a core of a team that can really compete at a high level. What's that balance for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a great question. That's what we're trying to build. I think you answered a lot yourself. Like, we're trying to build something that's sustainable and that can win in the playoffs and win, in deep rounds. And to do that, we're going to have to continue to build habits, but also explore the capabilities of each guy on our roster and putting them in positions to be accessible. So there's going to be some growth with that. And I think that's a really positive thing because at the end of the day, we're trying to build something that lasts. So we're going to continue to focus on player development and putting our players in positions to expand and improve their game, but still work on our core principles that we're going to, work on every day at the same time.
What kind of conversations have you had with veterans, guys like Kyle Kuzma, who put up such tremendous numbers as one of the lead options over the last couple of seasons here in Washington, about buying into that mission? I always feel like that's such a challenge for a coach to, you win the veterans and that helps kind of trickle down to the young players. What kind of combos have you had with Kyle and some of the other vets?
Yeah, Kyle was great. I coached Kyle before with the Lakers, and I thought he was tremendous last part of the year. He really bought into what we were talking about, and the team play, the focus on defense more, the daily improvement, because that's how he got here. That's how he's been successful in his career. So we understood that part already. So it wasn't like a hard adjustment for him. This was someone that he already was doing, who he is. Now he's been in a leadership role to help transmit that to others. And I thought he did a really nice job in the second part of the year with that.
The new head coach, although he was the interim coach at the end of last season, but officially now moving forward, Brian Keefe running this Wizards operation, joining us on Grant and Danny. Similar question for Jordan Poole. About a month after you took over, he went to the bench. And I remember initially, at least publicly, he bristled a bit, but he was a much better player from that point to the end of the year. So I guess two-parter. What do you make of the finish of the season of Jordan Poole and kind of the turnaround? But then also, he was not a guy you knew like you did with Kuzma from LA, I don't think, in terms of having a long relationship. So how did you kind of build that rapport enough to have him trust you when you made that change so that you could coach him up hard?
Yeah, the big thing with Jordan is we wanted to get the ball in his hands more to be the lead decision maker and initiator. So to do that, we thought we needed to change the rotation. The one thing that Jordan and I are always been on the same page on is our love for the game. I have total and utmost confidence and utmost respect for Jordan about how diligent he is about working on his craft and how much he loves basketball and how much he works on it. He's a great example to all of our guys and all of the players in our team. So we just wanted to see more. And hey, those are tough decisions, but this guy was a total pro. And, I think we saw him with the ball in his hands more, how successful he can be. But he was a total pro throughout this whole process. And I was not surprised because it speaks to the character of who he is as a person already.
Coach, it seems like you guys really found something in Bilal Coulibaly. Just heartbreaking that injury cut his season short, but exciting young rookie last year. I'd love for you to talk about his experience, kind of, I'm sure wide-eyed a little bit going from where he came from to, being in the NBA and taking on grown-ups every night. What's next for him in terms of his growth, and where do you ultimately see him?
Yeah, I thought he was tremendous this year, maturity-wise beyond his years, and we put him out there to guard the best players, to make plays on both ends of the court, and I think we saw that growth throughout the whole year. Obviously, we were disappointed, but he's already taken that setback into an advantage and already started working on his game and working on his body. But not surprising because this is a guy who's a high character guy himself, who's all about the work and all about the game. So we're not going to put a ceiling on any of these guys because I don't think that'd be a disservice to a guy like Bilal. We're just going to continue to work with him and develop his game over the years and keep expanding because the biggest key for us is he's got a guy who loves the gym, who loves to work, and is going to put the time in. And we think those type of guys are the ones that are going to be the most successful in our organization.
Coach, coming over from Brooklyn, what was your opinion on Denny Avdia from afar? And then how much did that change working with him last year? He really seemed to flourish.
Yeah, I always had great respect from Denny from afar. Versatile player, but then you get to know the person and work with someone on a daily basis and the amount of time they put in and care for their game and their craft. So again, getting to know him and watching him do that and the amount of time he puts into this and how much he cares about the game and the team. Couldn't have been more thrilled to get the opportunity to coach him then and then obviously continue now. I think this is a guy who's just scratching the surface. He's going to continue to get better. And it's because of the amount of work he puts in.
Coach, draft coming up, next big milestone here in the offseason. Two-part question. Part number one, just sort of generally, what are you sort of looking for in terms of, you mentioned some of the attributes and characteristics you seem to value in a player, but what kind of thing are you looking for here in this draft to kind of transform the team? And part two of that question is, who are you guys taking it to?
So first of all, I'm smart enough to not answer that question.
Very well. You're well trained.
I have great trust in our front office. They're the experts on this stuff. Obviously, they'll probably ask my opinion on stuff at the appropriate time, but these guys are the ones who put in the work in. They've been out watching guys all year. I know we're all excited to add someone at, both draft positions that we have in the first round. That's someone who fits into our environment, who wants to be a worker, who wants to get better. And I know we'll find those type of guys. And that's going to be an exciting time for us and all Wizards fans.
If you could visit a place on vacation, France or Yukon, which one would you rather travel to?
France. The question is, which place I'd rather travel, France or Utah?
Yukon.
Like Stores, Connecticut.
Yeah, like right in Stores.
Like right around now.
I'm going to refrain from answering that question.
Well done. Well done.
I'm going to make somebody upset whatever way I answer.
He's doing
nice
well.
try, though, guys.
Yeah, he's doing very well. Actually, kidding aside, when Dan Quinn had just been hired by the Washington Commanders, he came on the Junkies morning radio show, and they did a word association with him. and that's our morning show. And they said, okay, we want to do word association. He's like, all right, no problem. And so they sneak in among like the 5 people they're asking him about. They sneak in Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and Caleb Williams. And it was pretty clear with his answers that of those, the guys, he liked Jaden Daniels the most. And then in a big story about the Commanders drafting Jaden Daniels after the draft, it was revealed that like the team was kind of worried that he slipped up a little bit. So we stopped short of going word association with you.
Well, smart. I know how to refrain myself.
Well done.
Well done, Coach.
Coach, best of luck to
Congrats,
you.
man.
Thank you, and go get some wins.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate your time.